Hello everyone. In this video lesson I am going to present the Chapter 6, Restoration Drama and Prose, from an outline of English literature in native sound. An outline of English literature. Chapter 6, Restoration Drama and Prose. Restoration Drama and Prose 1. John Dryden, The Conquest of Granada. Aurangzeb, All for Love 2. Thomas Otway, Venice Preserved. Don Carlos the Orphan 3. George Etheredge, The Man of Mode 4. William Whitley, The Country Wife, The Plain Dealer 5. William Congreve, The Old Bachelor, The Double Dealer, Love for Love, The Way of the World 6. John Vanbrugh, The Confederacy, The Provoked Wife 7. Oliver Goldsmith 8. Richard Brinsley Sheridan, She Stoops to Conquer the Rivals, The School for Scandal, The Critic 9. John Dryden, Essay on Dramatic Poesy 10. John Bunyan, The Pilgrim's Progress, The Holy War 11. John Locke, Essay on the Human Understanding 12. Samuel Pepys 13. John Evelyn. Drama. Restoration period not only returned back the kingship but also literature too, which begins when Charles II returned to the English throne in 1660. And like this, literature returned in a great form as well. There appeared a great change in the literature of this period. Previously closed theatres were opened again. New groups of writers began to write plays. We generally notice two kinds of developments in this period, namely the heroic plays and the comedy of manners. These plays were quite different from Elizabethan plays in some ways, as the theatre opened again and new dramatists therefore appeared. The tragic drama of this period was made up of heroic plays which were mainly written in heroic couplet. The main characters in these plays were torn between the patriotic duty to their country and their duty as a lover. In these dramas we find men as splendidly brave as heroes, beautiful women, and a great deal of shouting and nonsense things. John Dryden was one of the most famous dramatists of Restoration period due to his heroic couplets and perfect metre. The Conquest of Granada, 1670, is his best heroic play. The Conquest of Granada is a Restoration-era stage play, a two-part tragedy. It is notable for heroic drama and satire. The plot deals with the Spanish conquest of Granada in 1492 and the fall of Muhammad XII of Granada, the last Islamic ruler on the Iberian Peninsula. Dryden wrote the play in closed couplets of iambic pentameter. The play concerns the Battle of Granada fought between the Moors and the Spanish, which led to the historic fall of Granada. Aurangzeb, 1676, is another Dryden's good heroic plays. The play is about the struggle for empire in India. Aurangzeb is a restoration drama. It is based loosely on the figures of Aurangzeb, the then reigning Mughal Emperor of India, his brother, and their father, Shah Jahan, Emperor. The piece is the last drama that Dryden wrote in rhymed verse. It is considered his best heroic work. His famous play All for Love, 1678, is written in blank verse. All for Love is a heroic drama by John Dryden which is now his best known and most performed play. It is a tragedy written in blank verse and is an attempt on strengthen his serious drama. It is an acknowledged imitation of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, and focuses on the last hours of the lives of its hero and heroine. Dryden said that All for Love was the only play that he wrote to please himself. Thomas Otway of the Tragedies by other dramatists. There are three best heroic plays written by Thomas Otway. They include Don Carlos, 1676, in rhymed verse, The Orphan, 1680, in blank verse, and Venice Preserved, 1682, also in blank verse. The last one was his well-received and best play. He died early at the age of 33. Venice Preserved, 1682, is written in blank verse and it is Otway's best play. In this play, Yaffia marries Belvidera, a rich man's daughter. The story takes place in Venice. Then Yaffia asks money from his wife's father Priuli, but his father-in-law insulted him badly. Then the struggle begins between them, and at last Belvidera goes mad and dies. And Yaffia kills himself. A new type of comedy called the comedy of manners appeared at the end of this century. This kind of play is hard and bright, witty and heartless. It was introduced by Sir George Etheredge. It was mainly confined to the rich, courtly and fashionable circle of London. Generally, people from the country are ridiculed for their humbleness and lack of sophistication. George Etheredge wrote The Man of Mode 1676, which shows the immoral manners of the society but has no proper plot. William Whitley, a satirical dramatist, wrote The Country Wife 1675 and The Plain Dealer 1676. His first play is a coarse play with some fine wit, and second one is his best play. Another dramatist who wrote this kind of comedies was William Congreve. His plays are not as coarse as the earlier plays. The Old Bachelor 1693 is his first comedy. Is about an old fellow who pretends to hate women, but marries a bad one, and his other comedies are The Double Dealer 1694 is concerned with angry lovers, and Love for Love 1695 is funnier, and contains clever speeches and interesting but foolish characters. His best play is The Way of the World 1700 is finer than any other play of the time. The drawing of the characters, especially of the women, is good, and so is the prose. It truly represents the comedy of manner of Restoration period. When this play was not well received, Congreve gave up writing plays in disgust. John Vanbrugh wrote 3 successful comedies, is a professional architect. They are The Relapse 1696, The Provoked Wife 1697, and The Confederacy 1705. He designed many important buildings at his time, along with literature. His characters are distinct, his plots interesting, but his writing unremarkable. His plays were in general rather coarse, clever, bright, and partly a reflection of the behavior of upper-class society of the time. Then much later, other 2 dramatists, Oliver Goldsmith and Richard Brinsley Sheridan, wrote this type of comedy. Goldsmith wrote She Stoops to Conquer 1773. It is a play in which a private house is mistaken for a hotel. Sheridan wrote The Rivals 1775, which is about that time and behavior of the contemporary behavior and manners. The School for Scandal 1777 presents 3 characters, whose love scandal is so great. His important satirical play is The Critic 1779, which attacks drama and literary criticism in a funny way. Prose. It is must to consider the prose of the Restoration time. During the Restoration period we also notice some development in prose work. John Dryden wrote Essay on Dramatic Poesy 1668. It is his critical work. In this work Dryden compares English drama with French drama. He points out the limitations of French drama and considers English drama to be superior to French drama. He has written it in a clear, reasonable and balanced way. His popularity as a critic is also very great. John Bunyan wrote 2 allegorical prose works, namely The Pilgrim's Progress 1682 and The Holy War 1682. The first allegorical story presents Christian's difficult journey to the heaven. Its best metaphor is, life is a journey. English language has borrowed some phrases and words from this work, and they are commonly used in day-to-day conversation, such as Vanity Fair, Slough of Despond, Mr. Greatheart. In the second work he has presented his own experience of the Civil War. Bunyan set an example of writing prose in clear and simple style. John Locke wrote prose, which were also very clear, earnest and without ornament. His sentences lack the balance, though it is his charm style. He wrote Essay on the Human Understanding, 1690. Is one of the most important works of English philosophy. His thoughts were well received all around the world. He said new opinions are always suspected, and usually opposed without any other reason but because they are not already common. Samuel Pepys, his famous diary is also considered as a prose work. His diary could not be read until 1852, because it was written in secret signs. It gives the true picture of the social life of that time and describes some events of the time in detail. His diary, which presents himself as a hero, is very interesting and colorful work. John Evelyn is another diarist. He describes in his diary of his travels in Europe, and writes about the men of his own time. His diary was first published in 1818. He wrote many books on art and trees. Thank you for joining with me in this video lesson, and subscribe my channel to get my upcoming video lesson continuously. Keep suggesting us. See you soon.